Hello bookworms, welcome back to another list video. Today I will tell you about some books that I've read and was very disappointed by, because not only were they bad, sometimes even awful, they had such great potential. So in this video I will share with you 7 books that had a great premise but ruined it by messy writing, stupid characters, or just boring execution. Now this is obviously my opinion and my opinion alone. You may have loved these books, and if you did, I am so happy you did. Nor do I pretend to know better than the authors and claim to know how to fix bad books. I will just tell you why I didn't like them, and in some cases how I personally think they could have been better. Also, if you're interested in hearing more, I will link all of my full reviews in the description box. So, without any further ado, and in no particular order, here they are. First, we have Bird Box by Josh Malerman. The premise. This novel takes place in the aftermath of some strange and mysterious disaster. Something unknown has attacked the world, and if you look at it, even a little glimpse, you immediately go crazy, start attacking and killing everyone near you, and eventually kill yourself. Why I didn't like it. In my review, I said that this book had one thing going for it, and this is this threat and its mysterious nature. Obviously, this isn't the first book about the survival of a small group under a mysterious threat, but it's the immense power and inevitability but it's the immense power and inevitability. But it's the immense power and inevitability of this threat which I loved, and how difficult to impossible it was to escape it. However, the rest wasn't very good, mainly the awful characters. Our protagonist, Mallory, was boring, annoying, and one of those mothers who think that because she conceived an offspring, she's better than anybody else. The other characters were as deep as puddles, and the rest of the plot was moving between cliché and convoluted. And just in case you're wondering, I also tried watching the movie and quit after 20 minutes. Next we have The Farm by Tom Rob Smith. The premise. One day, Daniel receives a call from his father, who tells him that his wife, Daniel's mom, had some sort of an episode. She became paranoid, decided people are after her, and ran away, and no one knows where she is, and asks Daniel to call him if he hears from her because she needs medical and psychiatric attention. Almost immediately after this horrific call, Daniel gets another one, this time from his mother. She's confiding in him that she discovered something terrible about her husband, Daniel's dad, and apparently he's evil and dangerous. And to make things worse, he's telling everyone that she's insane so no one will take her seriously. But Daniel is the only one that she can trust. Why I didn't like it. The plot was simple and effective, a perfect setting for a psychological thriller. The problem is, the book itself isn't very thrilling. We mostly follow Daniel's mother's narration, which starts up way too much in the past, and until we get to this horrible thing she allegedly discovered about her husband, we forget that there was even supposed to have been a mystery. Add to that some really strange cameos from trolls that makes us really doubt her sanity, and some very obvious plot twists, and I'm just recommending you read Child 44 instead, a much better book from the same author. Next we have The Watchmaker of Filigree Street by Natasha Pulley. The premise. In 19th century London, a man receives a mysterious watch that later saves his life. When he finds the watchmaker, he starts a friendship with him, only to start suspecting that this watchmaker might be knowing more than he's revealing. Why I didn't like it. First, let me point out that this little synopsis is just the tip of the iceberg here. It's one of those really complex stories that cannot be explained in one short paragraph. And that's what I liked about this book. For a start, it's strange, it's mysterious, it's steampunk, it's Victorian. The issues start with a confused writing that made me repeat many sentences to understand what was meant, and continued with not understanding characters' motives and having horrible structure that kind of led nowhere. I adore strange books. I love creativity and using a certain time period to your advantage, like in the steampunk genre, which this book pretended to be but wasn't. But this one had a great idea, but wasn't written well. It was a debut novel, and I actually would like to read more from the same author to see if her other books are better. Let me know if you know. Speaking of strange books, next we have A Peculiar Peril by Jeff Vandermeer. The premise. After his grandfather's death, a young man discovered he inherited his job as the protector of our Earth from a parallel universe's Aleister Crowley, who wants to take over. He ventures with his friends to Aurora, said parallel universe, and they start their journey throughout its strange scenery to try and save basically all worlds. Why I didn't like it. In my review, I said that the thought process behind this book was beyond me, but I don't think there was even a thought process there. To say this book is a mess doesn't even start to describe it. There is cool, fun, strange, and there is random, hodgepodge, bizarre with no rhyme or reason, which is what this book is. But I could have handled the strangeness if that was the only issue. Unfortunately, that's not the case. The book's writing was tedious, it's so long and boring, and the characters range from boringly mundane to absolutely obnoxious. This was supposed to have been a fun, wacky young adult adventure, but it was too long and overly complicated for any teenager. Or adult, for that matter. I absolutely hated the process of reading it, and the only reason I finished this 600-page mess was to do a review on it. You're welcome. Next, we have the only book on this list that I didn't review, and this was Wicked by Gregory Maguire, a book that have a huge fan base. I am very well aware of that. The premise. This is a retelling of the famous classic The Wizard of Oz, but from the point of view of the Wicked Witch of the West. We follow Elphaba, or Alfie, an outcast due to her studious nature and green skin, as she entered the school of Shiz with her golden child sister, Nessa. Alfie is kind and shy, though very smart and stubborn, a complete opposite to her enemy-turned-best friend, Glinda the Good. Alfie gravitates toward politics and eventually gets to meet the wonderful Wizard of Oz, only to discover why people say never to meet your idols. Alfie realizes that the wizard is actually the bad guy here and tries to fight him, only to be a victim of both prejudice and propaganda and becomes the villain we all know from The Wizard of Oz. Why I didn't like it? To be clear, I love the plot. Obviously, this is the whole point of this list. But I absolutely hate Maguire's writing. In other books too, there's something so pretentious and tedious about his writing that made it such a chore to read. I also felt this book was way too long for me. I could have cut it into half. And also, the musical was better. Very different, mind you, but better. Next, we have The Ruins by Scott Smith. The premise. A group on vacation in Mexico decide to venture to an ancient ruin to search for a missing person. When they reach the top of a hill, they realize that they are trapped. If they try to get down, the locals will kill them, but if they stay, they are also unsafe. Something evil is on that hill, and it looks like the vines and plants themselves are alive and out to kill them as well. Why I didn't like it? So I like horror, as long as it's scary and it makes sense and follows its own rules. This book, however, mostly suffers from what many horror movies suffer from. Having such idiots for characters, you really wish they would all die. In addition, the book was incredibly boring. The idea was to show how desperate they are and their mental decline, but the result was drawn out and just made me feel like I was stuck on that hill with them. And not in a good way. Give it a pass, though I still haven't seen the movie yet. And lastly, we have The Rook by Daniel O'Malley, which won the competition of my longest video to date because I had so many things to rant about. The premise. A woman finds herself in a park surrounded by dead bodies with absolutely no memory of who she is and how she got there. Soon she finds out that she is a part of a secret organization of people with supernatural abilities who try and save the world from supernatural threats. As she tries to blend in, not giving away that she has no memory, she realizes that there's a mole in their organization and it's one of her colleagues who was responsible for her memory loss. So who was it? And whom can she trust? Why I didn't like it. This book is the perfect example for a good premise done bad. The idea sounds great, right? Fun, action, supernatural powers, a bit of a Bourne Identity mixed in with Men in Black. The issue was basically everything. From the protagonist and every other female character being the absolute worst, to other characters being completely uninteresting, including the villains that we have no idea what their motives were, to some bizarre decisions that made me believe no one edited that book. The storytelling was a mess, the tone was all over the place, the characters were badly written. In short, just awful. And those guys were my picks for some really awful books that had a great premise or idea. Did you read any of them? Were the movies any better? Let me know. Guys, thank you very much for watching my video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel for more book reviews and other bookish stuff. Guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.